What's up everybody, this is Joe here with Joseph Blake Photography, and in today's video we're going to be talking about, well, we're going to be asking a question. What if Canon made a retro camera? Okay, before we jump into the video, really quick, my name is Joe, this is Joseph Blake Photography. This is my channel where we talk about gear and tech and photos and videos and all the fun stuff that goes into making content, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or in corporate or wherever you are. If you're making stuff that is for other people and for yourself, we're gonna talk about the tech and the gear that you use to do that. I've got links down below to my Instagram as well as some of the gear that I use. Those are affiliate links, so if you click on one of those and you buy something, I get a little bit, a couple bucks. And again, I want to throw out a thank you to everybody who helped me remonetize my channel. I very much appreciate it. I can now make 1/10 of one price of one latte every time I get one video. Okay, so retro cameras, right? And retro is a subjective term, right? How far retroactively are we gonna go? Are we talking about the 7D? Is it, like, I know that's 2009, 2010, that's not that far back. How far back are we talking? So if we look at like the Nikon Z, I think that's a super cool looking camera. If you look at Leica cameras, if you look at like every camera made by Fuji, they all have this kind of retro feel. And meanwhile, like Canon is making these like really kind of sleek and ergonomic, really nice, you know, smooth, black, shiny plastic, right? And the question is, should Canon take, say, something like this, the EOS R or the R6 or the R7 or the R5, but throw it into a body that is metallic and squared off and old school looking? And would they sell any of them, right? So this question came up at the end of last year, and I wanted to do a video about it, but I didn't have an opportunity, so now I'm going back and I'm doing it. What kind of camera, if you've been a Canon owner for a long time, what kind of camera should they go back and do? And I guess the question that Canon was kind of the different options that were being thrown out that Canon was thinking about were like the QL17, the Canonet, the F1, right? One of the first ones, or the AE1. And in that kind of roundup, in my personal opinion, the one that you have to go with is the one that has the design that people know the most, right? It can be retro, but if nobody's ever seen it, or a lot fewer people have seen it, then it's not gonna have that like nostalgic hit, right? It's not gonna feel like something that you've experienced before. Now, a lot of cameras around this time look very similar, especially the Nikons and the Canons, but I really do think that the AE1 is the body that you should absolutely try to copy. And that's because I happen to have one right here. This is the Canon AE1 that my dad had, that I've kind of stolen from him, and I use it from time to time. Lots of my baby pictures were shot with this thing. Many pictures of my early life, my dad's life, and like my parents before I was born were shot not on one of these, but on this specific camera. The construction of these cameras, the design of these cameras is timeless. There's so much to these that is amazing, and honestly, if you asked, well, what would they put in here? Like, what would it be? I mean, it's not going to be an R5, right? You're not going to put, you know, an 8K RAW sensor in here. You make it something that consumers can buy. You make it something that's going to make sense. Of course, it should shoot 4K. It should have dual pixel autofocus. You know, maybe it shoots 12 frames a second at the most. But it should definitely be mirrorless. And I think that this design allows for all the space that you would need to incorporate just a great viewfinder. It should feel like the viewfinder on this now, right? It should have that old school feel to it. It should have dials. It should have physical dials on it so that I can select, like in this case, I can select the shutter speed, right? And I can set here with this little dial here, I can set my my ISO. I think that those are all things that absolutely you should include. I don't know if it needs a wine dial, obviously, since it's not going to have the film in it. But if you are going to have like a dial like this here, obviously maybe that's your shutter speed, you know, and then make it compatible with RF or RFS lenses. I think honestly that's the only way to go. You know, you don't have to put restrictions on it like you would with some other cameras. You know, it doesn't have to be abnormally difficult to use. I think just honestly take you know, the EOS R with a 30 megapixel sensor or the R10 and, you know, throw it into here. I think that that would be phenomenal. Now, the number one complaint obviously is that they are physically, you know, they're difficult to hold. They're not ergonomic. I don't know. I don't care. I don't think anybody would care. I think if Canon came out with this camera with a full frame or an APS-C sensor with some dials on it and all the stuff that you would need, I think, honestly, I think you'd have a winner. And maybe even, call me crazy, take some of the old school, right? This is a 28 millimeter FD lens on it. Give me a 28 mil or a 50 mil RF, you know, just make one. Like, take the 50 millimeter RF and come up with a retro version of it that has these like super grippy, you know, focus rings, and give it a manual adjustment ring. Like, give us that. I think that would be so much fun. And honestly, wouldn't need a lot of update. And I think that honestly, you could sell that for 10 years. And I think that it would be timeless, like this camera is. But also, I would say, if you've never shot with one of these, if you've never shot with a film camera, but if you've never shot specifically with one of these old SLRs, you have to try it. You have to do it. It is it's nerve-wracking to shoot with these, but it's worth it. It's worth your time because you'll learn as you go through it. You'll learn. There's a lot to this, a lot to learn here. You know, it's got a flash sync, right? There's just so much cool stuff here. It's got depth preview button, right? It's got everything. There's just so much here. Quick video on something that I saw that I thought was super cool, and because I own this camera, or at least because I stole it from my dad who owned this camera. This is one of my favorite things. Now, my dad's still around and will be for hopefully a very long time, but I'm glad that I have this. I'm going to keep this. I'll never get rid of this, and I will give it to my son or my daughter, depending on which one of them potentially wants to get into photography, and they will tell me that I'm old and weird for having this and liking it, and I don't care because I will force them to learn how to use it because that's what dads do. Okay, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know down in the comments. Would you buy this? Would you buy this if it was retro? You tell me. All right. See you guys in the next one.